So welcome to the webinar. This week we are going to focus on a subscription-based business and some billing challenges that you can overcome using our application Zoho Subscriptions. So our agenda for the next hour or so, we'll talk a little bit about a subscription-based business and what it is, some of the most important metrics that you should be measuring. And then we'll dive into the application. So plan management will be about the different plans that you can create in Zoho Subscriptions, followed by a demo. Then we'll talk about billing options and billing scenarios, followed by a demo in Zoho Subscriptions. And then we'll talk about the integrations as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So there is a trend to move towards the subscription-based model. So what that means is you're basically providing products or services on a recurring model, right? So monthly or yearly. You have companies like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Spotify, Blue Apron. These are subscription-based businesses, business to consumer. So business to business is a little different, but I brought these examples up because you're already used to paying all these companies a monthly or yearly fee as it is. And there's so many more out there. We've seen growth more than 100% a year. So from 57 million in 2011 to 2.6 billion in 2016. That is absolutely crazy. In general, when you move towards a subscription model, your costs might go up due to maybe some technology shifting or shifting around other processes internally, and you might see an early drop in revenue. But overall, costs go down and revenue will always come back up. So they call this the kind of the fish model. So at first you take a small hit, but in the long term, you are actually going to make more money moving to a subscription-based model. We are in the prime of like shifting from a transaction-based economy toward a subscription-based economy. Let's take, for example, just with Amazon Prime, you have 40 million subscribers on Amazon Prime. They're paying $100 a year. That's $4 billion a year just for that business unit. And that doesn't include all of Amazon's subscription businesses. We have Subscribe and Save, we have Instant Video, we have Amazon Mom, we have AWS. There's so many revenue streams coming from subscription business. AWS is unique in the fact that it's on a metered billing, so it's pay for how much you use, not just a fixed rate per month. And so we have metered billing in Zoho Subscriptions, so we'll talk about that as well. There's so many other startups out there, like Ipsy does monthly makeup. Then you have BarkBox and Meowbox, which are dog treats and cat treats every month. You have Tea Sparrow, which is sending different types of tea bags every month. You have nail salons and barbershops converting to an annual fee model where you pay, generally $600 to $1,000 for the year, and you can use their services once or twice a month. So even they're moving to that route as well. You have a company like Our Little Roots sending little plant growing kits for different herbs and unique plants, and it gives you the pot and the soil and all the seeds. Then you have things like Bloom, which is sending like safe, approved, high-rated baby products for a newborn all the way to preschool as your baby grows with you, just sending you stuff like a mixture of toys and other useful items. So many companies are kind of moving toward this route, and so that's why we're seeing this huge growth. So when we talk about a subscription-based business, now the metrics change as well. So the most important metric, in my opinion, is MRR, monthly recurring revenue. So how do you calculate MRR? You simply just add the monthly fees paid by every single paying customer of your installed base. You have 3 customers paying $100, $300 a month, right? Simple as that. So it's good to be able to predict revenue, right? Because as you go from month to month, it's an easy way to forecast your future cash flows and your future budget. So it's a good model to follow in that sense. Okay, and then that leads to lifetime value, LTV, or customer lifetime value, CLTV. You may have heard both terms. This is a calculation to figure out how much it costs you to get a customer and then recoup on that investment, right? So one way to increase lifetime value is to upsell new services to an existing client base, right? So if you're looking to recoup the investment, over customer acquisition costs. If you cross-sell and upsell new services, then of course you're definitely going to recoup that investment. And as you always have heard, it's always cheaper to sell services to existing clients than it is to a new customer, always, right? So a couple other terms to know: average revenue per user. So the amount of money companies can expect to earn from an individual user, right, on average. With companies with multiple subscription models, this is a way for you to figure out what the most popular plan is and kind of drive people towards that plan. For example, in Zoho Subscription, if you set up a 3-tier subscription plan, let's say starter, standard, and enterprise, right? Something like that. You can label one of those plans as most popular, right? So you can put people's eyes towards it. That could help you increase average revenue per user along with the cross-sell and upsell, right? So, and making it easier to jump from one model to the other. And then churn. So churn is extremely important. We like to call this the nemesis of your subscription business, right? It's the number of or percentage of users who end up canceling in a given time period. So this is also known as the rate of attrition, right? So the percentage of people who stop using your app or your service within a given period. Rate of attrition, churn rate. In order for you to have positive growth, the number of new users or customers must be higher than the number who leave, right? So here is the calculation. So it's done by a period of time. So you can have a churn rate per month, you can have a churn rate per year, right? So let's say in January you have 600 customers, and end of the month you have 400 customers. So you calculate, so beginning of the period, January, so 600 minus end of the period, 400, and divided by beginning, 600, so 33.33% churn rate. So this churn rate is auto-calculated in Zoho Subscriptions, as is average revenue per user, as is MRR, as is lifetime value. So you don't have to remember all this math. It's all auto-calculated for you, but it's good to know that these are the metrics that you need to kind of change your mindset and start measuring. Think of churn rate like a leaky bucket. So people are dripping out constantly and you're struggling to refill your bucket, right? And that can get really, really expensive, because if the bucket is very leaky, right, you have to spend a lot to keep refilling it. Generally, acquiring a new customer can be 5 to 25x more expensive than retaining a new one, right? So just at the lower end, it could cost you 5 times more to get someone new. Why? There's marketing costs, there's prospecting, there's all these different things associated with acquiring a new customer. And then let's take the churn rate into account. So just instead of doing that, focus on reducing churn. Reducing churn by 5% can boost profitability by 75%. So just a small decrease in churn can increase profitability a lot. So that's why it's important to focus on reducing churn than always acquiring new customers. And then so if you improve retention, you are growing faster in terms of your company versus acquisition, right? And then you're also able to sell to existing customers at a much higher rate, generally 60-70% higher, and maybe for a prospect, depending on your close rate, 5 to 20%. So the whole goal here is reduce churn, boost profitability, upsell, cross-sell, and lower your customer acquisition costs, which will then increase your average customer lifetime value, okay? And all auto-calculated in Zoho Subscriptions. All right, so types of subscription models. So you have your service base, right? We've talked about those. You just have a monthly service or a membership that you pay for. Inventory based are sending out physical products. You may have heard of Dollar Shave Club or Trade Coffee or Trunk Club. So you're selling a physical box. There's a lot of these companies out there these days, like I mentioned. And then customers can customize the monthly order, so they can actually choose personal preferences, and they can change the frequency of delivery. Maybe they'd rather go with the quarterly plan than the monthly plan, for example. They want to pay in full for the year and save some money. And then you have this metered billing. So you're charging a customer monthly based on how much you use, right? So utilities already follow that model. But like I said, AWS kind of changed that game and brought in this cloud infrastructure model also based on usage. So that's called metered billing inside Zoho Subscriptions. So this is a famous author here, wrote, subscribed, Why the Subscription Model Will Be Your Company's Future. He is a huge advocate of the entire economy shifting to a subscription-based model. And he's made a very strong conviction here. If you're not shifting to this subscription model now, chances are that you might not have any business left to ship. So there's a very strong and valid point here. There's huge growth in this sector for a reason. These companies are, successful for a reason. So maybe trying to alternate your business model to meet the subscription needs is the way to go. So we launched Zoho Subscriptions a few years back. So this is a subscription management software. What does it do? It allows you to add products and plans, set up a microsite or a widget that you can embed where people can pick their plan and pay for it, and it auto charges them, so you don't have to build this whole website from scratch. It has a lot of different options in terms of billing, connecting to different payment gateways, integrating with Zoho Books, etc. So what we're going to do is start at the very basics, right? So when you go to subscriptions.zoho.com, we start with pick your industry. So the reason I wanted to bring this slide up particularly, this is actually the intro screen for Zoho Subscriptions. There's a section that's called physical goods. So SaaS and membership are the same model, right? So you just pay per month. You're not physically sending something. In the type of business that actually physically sends something, we are going to be integrating Zoho Inventory. So this is available for beta release, should be launching very, very soon. So what will happen is a Zoho subscription will activate, we'll send the invoice to the customer. At the same time, a sales order will generate in Zoho Inventory so that that physical item can be tracked for delivery. And and that Zoho Inventory integrates with shipping providers. So we are working towards that, and a lot of people aren't aware that we're also adding that type of vertical. So that's why I brought this slide up. So if you're interested in the inventory-based subscription model, it will be available very, very soon within the Zoho Finance Suite. So setup overall is quite simple when it comes to Zoho Subscriptions. You simply add products, create plans, and embed the page. You can literally get set up within minutes, and that's what I'm going to walk you through right now is these 3 steps. So before we dive into the live system itself, let's look at a few screens. So if you had a bunch of products already, so you'd be able to see a bunch of products, a bunch of plans, a bunch of coupons, add-ons. So this is generally what you can do within a product. We'll go through all 3, plans, add-ons, and coupons, right? And so you'll be able to see exactly how that works. And then when you're adding a fresh plan, the reason I brought this one up here is you can select the type of billing cycle. And if you see here where the arrow is, free trial and setup fees are also available out of the box inside the plan creation. All right, so let's go into Zoho Subscriptions. I'll start with a summary of the dashboard. When you log into the application, you see a dashboard, just like every other Zoho Finance app and a bunch of other Zoho apps as well. This is considered like your home screen, right? So it's the first tab. The tabs are here on the left. So what do I see? I see activations versus net cancellation. So just live of new customers versus customers that are leaving. And you can also see net revenue. We're also displaying the 3 very, very important metrics that I talked about on the front page. MRR is right here. Average revenue per user. Notice I can click on it and go straight to the report. I'll go back. So average revenue per user is here. Lifetime value is here. If I clicked on any of them, I'm able to go to that. And this little question mark will tell me how to calculate that. So if you ever want to know, or forget how it's calculated, average revenue per user divided by churn rate times 100. How does it know the churn rate? Well, there's a report for churn rate, and also tells you how to calculate churn rate again. So you can always figure out these calculations. So this is definitely a easy to follow dashboard. You can see the churn rate percentage calculated here. You have some more details. This is a line graph, so you can see I have a surge of customers happening early February as I was definitely preparing for this webinar. And then just another chart with more details. And again, it takes you straight to the report page. So that's your dashboard. When you first start, with all of the Zoho finance apps, you can get a sandbox environment to play around with. So as you see here, I have a test environment. So you're able to always go into a sandbox and play around with all of the different settings. And so this helps you set up a few things and test it out to see if it works, and then move back into your live environment. So just keep that in mind, that you can have multiple environments in here, and that's set up for you when you first register. So as I was saying, let's talk about the products. So the product section and the plan section are interconnected. So first you add a product, and then you add a plan. When you add a product, besides just naming it, you can add a notification address and a redirect URL, right? So the redirect, once the customer goes to a payment page, where does it go for this particular product? And you can always change these settings under settings, hosted payment pages. So we'll come back to that. So I added a product called the N network. I had another one called the coaching program. I've got another one called test. So let's look at all of these. So in the N network, I have a standard plan, a premium plan, and a premium annual plan, right? So when I add a new plan, I give it a name, I can give it a unique code, I can choose, I can choose the units. What if you want to add a new unit? You can just type it in and it will add it to the list. Okay, so these are just default. If I want to make a whole new one, just type it in and it will create it. Billing cycle, right? So every week, every month, every year. And then how does it expire? So does it go a certain amount of days or times? Sorry, if it's by month, so a certain amount of months. And then, or does it just go on forever? And a lot of these will go on forever, right? Until the customer cancels or they call you to cancel it. Free trial is the time period in which you are not going to bill the customer. So there will not be an invoice sent out during a free trial. So it gives you a buffer. That's another way to think of it. A setup fee is a one-time additional charge to the subscription. Okay, so you can add the setup fee as well and put it on the pricing page. If you can integrate with tax systems as well, just you can with Zoho Books, or manually put the tax in here as well, and then put a description. So this widget is what we're going to talk about in a bit. That is kind of like the microsite that is created for your subscription management. If you are using Zoho Books, since this is the exact same database is built on Zoho Books, you can connect it to the right accounts. Okay, so one for a setup fee, one for the plans. If you have two separate accounts for that, up to you, and that will go into Zoho Books. All right, so that's my 3 plans, and I have something called an add-on. So you can add an add-on here. An add-on can be associated with certain plans or all plans. It doesn't have to be with all the plans. It can be a one-time add-on or a recurring add-on. It's a different way to track versus a setup fee. This is the customer asking for something extra, and that can also be, again, recurring or one-time. And yeah, so that's the add-ons. So, and you can change the pricing scheme, pricing interval, the unit name, etc. for the add-ons. So my add-on is associated with all 3 plans in this case. Okay, and we'll see where that is. And then we have coupons and redemptions. Redemptions are the usage of the coupon, right? So someone did actually use it. So let's create a coupon as well. So when I create a coupon, I can give it a code, right? And then I can say that code is a one-time code. So I can generate it just for a customer and send it over. I can keep it forever. So a sales team can just give that code whenever they feel like it, and you can track who's using it. Or you can have it expire, right? So maybe we're going to give this coupon available, but only can use it 10 times. Okay, so 10 subscriptions, that's it, coupon is done. And then same thing, can it be associated with add-ons or plans? So if I give a scenario here, a 10% off coupon that can be used forever, and it also works for recurring add-ons and all plans. What happens? Well, the plan, let's say plan 1 is given a 10% discount, and then my add-on is also given a 10% discount on a recurring basis. Versus here, it's given a discount to any add-on, but on a one-time basis. Okay. And then you can put a maximum redemption. So even if it's forever, you can, at some point 500, we won't do that anymore, and we'll only limit it to the end of the month. Okay, so that's the coupon management. That will allow you to give discounts. You saw it's flat discount, percentage discount, and associated with the plans. Okay, so you have plan summary now, one add-on, one coupon, and now we'll look at the embed widget. So let's answer a few of these questions before we move forward. So can I offer my client a free trial period? Yes. So in order to do that, when you are creating a plan for the product, you are simply going to put the number of days of the trial. Can I charge a one-time fee? Yes, as we saw, we can charge an add-on fee, or we can charge a setup fee as one time. Even if it's called setup fee out of the box, we can rename that on the widget so the customer doesn't see it as a setup fee. Maybe it's a customization fee, implementation fee, etc. Can I have other options associated with my subscription plan? As you saw, yes, we have one-time add-ons, recurring add-ons, and coupons, and that's how you apply the discounts, okay? And the coupons can be percentage or flat, and they can also be applied to both the product and the add-on, and you can have a redemption maximum number as well, okay? So that is all the different flexibilities you have in setting up the plan. So once we set that up, the next thing we really want to do is just look at the widget. So the widget is how you display this on a website. So at the same time, while I pull up the widget, I'm going to show you a website that I very quickly made on Zoho Sites. And there's not really too much content on here, but I just want to quickly show you that even with not knowing a single line of code, I was able to put my subscription here, right? So I simply was given the embed code, copied and pasted it into Zoho Sites, and this works, right? So I can click on my plan, and it takes me to the checkout page, right? And this is all running on Zoho Subscriptions, and on the back end also running on Zoho Checkout. So that's how our finance apps are tied together here. All right, so let's set this up. So first thing is, how do I want this to look? So I chose this particular template. Got a few to pick from, okay? That was step one. Let's go back. All right, so I have this template. I have a monthly and yearly option because I wanted to group by frequency. You don't have to. Now put them all on one page, okay? Grouping by frequency meant I could name this monthly or yearly. Maybe I want to call it monthly and annual. You can override that, no problem. All right, if I star this option, you notice it says most popular. You've probably seen that on a lot of websites. So it kind of draws attention to a particular service, right? And then it's easier for people to sell. Like, you know what, let's go with the standard. It is the most popular, and even your website verifies that. Your checkout button can also be customized. So we can have different checkout buttons. We can write over it. We can include our add-ons in the checkout button. So if I click on this, right, there is right now the checkout button. It says standard 1. If I want to include add-on, I check that. Now the checkout button has both standard and add-on in there. If I want to default that to 1, well, now it regenerates, and now it's autofills in the 1. Okay, so very, very simple to customize. And your subscribe button can also be changed. So if I want to make it pink or orange or blue, notice it changes. I've made it subscribe. I can change it to, pay now, right? Very simple. And if you don't even like any of our custom colors, then you can make it your own. So take your hexadecimal system and make it match the rest of your website. All right, so now what? So we can look at this in full screen mode. So I can go back to pricing table, look at it full screen, looks good. I can also show the entire code, right? So by showing this code, I can just literally copy and paste this into my website, which is what I did for Zoho Sites. Okay, so that's done as well. You can show the code, you can copy the code. And now you've set up your widget. So a few other things here. Price caption, right? So I'll roll over this while we're talking. So caption will be displayed underneath. If you want to set up if you want to add setup fee, you can do so. So I have to simply do this, right? And it will add it in there, which right now is $0. And if I put in anything else, it puts it in there for me too. Okay. So that's price caption. The button text, right? We have pay now. We can always override that and change that color too. All right. And then same on the yearly. So we talked about both of those and the checkout button. So that is the embed widget. All right, so that's how you get that onto your website. Once that's done, you have subscriptions rolling in, right? So there's a list of all subscriptions. There's gonna be a list of all invoices, list of all transactions that occur, list of all the customers. So if I go to a customer here, Vinay, for example, I can see Vinay owes $250. He's got this particular subscription, and then I can go into other fields. I can invite him into the customer portal where he can manage his own subscriptions, cancel, pay, etc. For example, the outstanding receivable. I can look at a list of all the transactions. I know he owes some money, so I can go into here. I can see the invoice. Maybe he called in to pay the invoice. I can record the payment, or I can send it in. I can add his credit card information. I can void it. So all of this done just straight from the customer page. Okay, so that's a very simple overview of setting up plans. So now we'll talk about billing options. So the next piece is we have all these plans and how are we going to charge and make money off of it? And there's a lot of things that can happen when you're considering billing options. Start with the payment terms, right? So what I mean by payment terms is, do they have to pay right when they subscribe, or do they get a net 15, a net 30, or a custom date? So if they called in and added a subscription, so you're on the phone, you go to customers, add subscription, during that process, you can say collect payment online or offline. If they've already subscribed something else from you, you'll have their credit card information. You can use the one on file and send and charge immediately. Maybe you want to send them an invoice, you send them an invoice and put a net 30 on there, right? So that's why we have payment terms. Calendar-based billing is how it recurs from there. Will it recur on the 1st of every month? So even if they signed up on the 16th, the 15th, the 7th, it always charges on the 1st of every month. Maybe it charges on the 5th of every month. Maybe it charges on that actual date. It doesn't really matter. For reporting purposes, maybe you want everything to equal out and charge on the same day. So that's what we mean by calendar-based billing. Grouped invoices. What if you sell multiple subscriptions? You sell a subscription for product A and product B and product C. Should the customer get 3 different invoices because he or she has subscribed for multiple products? Take a look at Zoho, for example. We have CRM, desk, campaigns, projects, books. Should we group that as a single invoice or not? So that's what we mean by grouped invoices. You can turn that on or off. Prorated usage. So this is what we consider metered billing, and we'll talk about that. So how does it work? Well, simply out of the box, this is going to be a manual process. A invoice is sent out for the initial charge. To add additional charges, you can go ahead and modify that pending invoice for the following month with metered charges, right? So you can say, okay, I want to add this line item for $50 for, I don't know, 100 kilowatts of usage, right? And that will add as a line item. So when the invoice is ready for the next 1st of the month, then it sends. The next one gets lined up, goes into pending status, and again, you can start adding onto there. So that is part of what we call metered billing. So that is where the APIs can be very useful. So you can have the usage come in from your software application or your web page or any internal tools to update a field inside Zoho Subscriptions, which will then add onto the invoice for you. Then Unbuild Charges is a brand new option we added. What if it's not really a meter charge? Well, then this is more of a one-time replacement fee, something like that. So you can put a charge on there, and then it will tell you which ones have been billed and which ones have been not. For example, a cell phone plan, Apple charges you per month to have an iPhone. What if you need to replace the whole phone? Well, there's a one-time fee of, I don't know, $700. So that's a charge that needs to be added to the next invoice. It will remain unbilled until you collect it, and you can send a separate invoice for that or combine it to the regular invoice. Okay, so we're just going to review all of this again. So this time I'm going to go into preferences. So that's on the top right. All of the finance apps from Zoho, by the way, all the preferences are going to be on the top right. And it takes you to the full section here. we're going to work on this section and walk through each of these things. So let's start with grouping invoices, right? So here's the option. So it's under preferences. We're in the invoice subsection. Combine all invoices for a customer and send as a single invoices, right? Yes or no? Very simple. Calendar billing, right? If a customer has multiple subscriptions and products, sorry, not multiple, that was for grouping. If the customer needs to be billed on the same date, or you're going to choose a constant date. All right, so that was pretty simple to set up as well. Customer payment terms, so let's go back to a customer, and let's pick a customer and add a subscription for them, and we'll add a product, okay, and we'll add a plan. Right, so I can now do a few things here. So I can enable metered billing. Oops. So metered billing, again, we'll put that invoice in what we call a pending status. You can use webhooks, APIs, or manual adjustments to change that invoice before it's sent out. So it will generate it versus waiting for the end of the month and generate and send and automatically charge. It generates it for you ahead of time so that you can make the changes and then send it out, allowing for the metered billing option. And again, the APIs and webhooks really will make this powerful because your meter can auto update Zoho subscriptions on the pending invoice itself. And I can collect the payment offline, right? So this is my payment terms. I can add more terms if I would like. And we'll go back to payment gateways. But let's say if I don't want to use a payment gateway, I can uncheck that as well. I can continue. And then if I already have the card, I can go ahead and grab it. If not, I can even add a payment here myself, right? And you can just, if I want, let's just say cash, we've collected it and done. So that is our subscription that has just been created, okay? And then if I go over to Invoice History, you can see that this particular one just got paid, right? It's the 6th of February and done, okay? So from here, we are going to go into unbilled charges, right? So let's go back to our customer here, and I can quickly collect the charges that are on outstanding invoices by entering in their credit card number or bank details. So that is an option on any of the invoices to go ahead and collect the charge live. If I'm on the customer page and I want to charge this customer, then I can go ahead, and I can go ahead and add an additional charge for a particular subscription. Okay, so over here, I can add a charge. So I was in the customer section, click on the subscription, and now I can add a charge. Okay, so this will be just a new line item on the next invoice, right? That I have a one-time charge for, right? So that will show up as what we call an unbilled charge. And then once it's sent out and collected, then you'll know it's going to move on to something that you've already collected, right? So that's what we mean by billed and unbilled. So you have this particular customer who meets that criteria. He's got an outstanding receivable. Okay, so that covers all of these different options on billing. What we're going to do next is talk about payment pages and payment gateways. Okay, so the payment page is very, very important. That's this page here that once I click on my subscription, I am taken to. Okay, so let's talk about this payment page in a little bit more detail. So you're able to customize every single piece of this payment page. So let's start with the beginning with the checkout order summary, okay? So I can see that the column headers, item, quantity, and price, I can override those. I can have the customer be able to edit the quantity. I can allow the customer to exclude an add-on, right? So they can override and put a 0 if you default it to 1. and I can change all of the different fields and how they appear. So this is a backend name. A front-end name doesn't have to match the backend name, right? If you're using the APIs and webhooks, of course, the backend names are the ones we use, but you can put your own on top of it. That's what the customer will see, okay? You have your customer account information. They're gonna have to fill in information about themselves. What are you collecting? Do you wanna collect everything? Do you wanna make it all mandatory? Same with the address. What do you wanna collect? Do you wanna make it mandatory? Payment information, right? What are you collecting on their credit card? Again, it's just showing the back end and front end names. You can change these if you would like, and then you could force them to put their first and last name again. Same with the bank account. And this is all tied to a payment gateway. So we're about to go into that. Zoho Subscriptions and all of the finance apps are PCI compliant. So we meet all the regulations in order to collect and process and store credit card information. Inside Zoho Subscriptions itself, it will only show the last 4 digits of the credit card. It will not show the entire credit card number. That will be housed in your payment gateway as per regulation. So if you used WePay or Stripe, that's where the full number is stored. We only store the last 4 digits, okay? But we can force a payment if need be. Layout, so header and footer can be accessed as well. You can see some HTML element editing properties here. You can add a header and a footer. You can even edit the buttons, okay? So that's layout. You have some other labels like the checkout page, the payment update page. So it kind of puts it up here for you to do a little bit more information, so a trial message, just a little message on your start date. Licensing agreement, if you want to add a link to your terms of service and your privacy policy, you can definitely do so and make that available on this page so that they can click and open that up. And this is very important, right? This is kind of a, do you agree with our licensing? Should be checked by default. You've probably been through this on a lot of different websites that you order from. So it's just all built into the widget, so you don't have to do anything extra. This is really important, right? So a lot of people will be tracking through Google Analytics. So you can add your Google Analytics tracking code right here, of course, because this is a web page, right? That you might want to track. They have background images if needed. And lastly, your thank you page, right? So you don't have to have this big thumbs up. You can change the image, okay? And change the format, sizing, etc. And you can go through all of this and see what it looks like, and you can even change the theme, all right? So if you want to make it simple and change the theme, you can do so. So all that is done through the embedded payment pages, account address, payment information, layout, Google Analytics tracking, and other basic formatting. So that's all here, hosted payment pages. All right, another thing is going to be your, what's it called? Your payment gateway. So when under payment inside the preferences, if you've connected a payment gateway, it will show you all the options that are available. So for example, if you connect a bank account, then you have Forte, Authorized.net, Go Cardless, right? ACH. If you connect credit card, it says credit cards accepted for all except 2Checkout and PayPal. So it will just list your payment options here. So a customer can choose Authorized.net, credit card. So that drop down will populate based on what you go ahead and put inside the payment gateway. So I'm gonna say I don't have one connected here right now, but we do have integration with WePay, Stripe, PayPal, 2Checkout, Authorized.net, PayPal, Forte, WorldPay. Okay, so when you set it up, you just connect your account, right? And literally just log in and password. The integration is already pre-made, right? So it's gonna happen for you automatically. This way you can collect payments immediately from your widget. So automatic retry, or dunning as we call it, that's going to be pretty important that we need to set up as well. So what if the credit card fails? So in this case, if that happens, you can say, I would like to retry, send an email, or don't send an email, just keep retrying. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 retries can happen every 3 days, every time we'll send an email. Okay. On the credit card, if I click on it, this is the email that's sent out. We were unable to process your payment. You can go ahead and customize the template. With ACH, we were unable to process ACH payment. Here's a template. You can go ahead and customize. So that's just links to the actual notification themselves. So 3 times to retry. And then how do you want to update the subscription? Well, you can cancel them out, or you can just mark it as unpaid if you want to be nice and try to call them and collect the payment. Okay. So that's very, very important to set up to make sure you collect your payment as well. All right, so setting up metered billing. So we saw that you can just hit the check mark for metered billing. We'll talk a little bit more about that now. Can I choose the billing date for my customers? Yes, so yeah, it would be under the payment terms. You can choose the length of payment terms, and then using calendar-based billing, you can always set the billing date at a certain time. Can you add a quick replacement or service charge? Yes, so you have the option of adding a charge to the invoice, as you saw manually, and it will be on that next invoice to collect. So let's talk about metered billing. So this is the workflow for metered billing. So you have a subscription created, a base plan, and you get charged, okay? So now the next invoice for the next billing cycle will be generated in pending status, okay? During that time period, you may add line items for customer usage, okay? And then you'll have to collect the charges, either online or offline. So that's not as important as the one that I put in red. That is the key here for metered billing. And in order to make metered billing the most successful, again, use the APIs and webhooks to add those line items from your software application or from whatever online app that's being charged for metered billing. And that's what our customers generally do. And that way, that entire piece is what's called automated for you. So let's go back here. Remember, a customer who has a subscription, you may actually change them, into metered billing. So if I go into the subscription, I can change it to metered billing if I want to. So just like you add a coupon or one-time add-on or add that extra charge, you may enable metered billing as well. Okay, so you have the option to do that, and you can see here on these different views, we have a metered billing enabled view, right? So I can see, okay, so this one is already on metered billing. So what does that mean? Well, when the invoice is generated for the next month, then I can go ahead and update fields on that particular invoice that's in line with the extra metered charges, okay? And that's exactly what will happen when it's generated. Right now, it just hasn't been generated yet for the next month. Okay, so that goes over all the billing options. And now we're ending here with integration. So we talked about payment gateways, Stripe, Authorize.net, WePay. Of course, we have options to integrate with all of those. We are PCI compliant. Google Analytics we saw for tracking the payment page. Now a few more, Zoho Books. So Zoho Books is pre-integrated with Zoho Subscriptions. So if I go into Zoho Books here, I can see here's Vinay again, the same customer I used earlier, that he's got a subscription, right? So I sent him a one-time charge here, and he's already inside my Zoho Books account, right? So it's automatically done. So nothing really required on your end, except unless you're using Zoho Books, because in Zoho Books you have, of course, your full-blown accounting system. In Zoho CRM, you also have an integration, of course. So I'm going to go into a customer that we have, and this particular customer already has a subscription with us. And so it will create what we call a related list, right? And so he's part of the N network, and his subscription is live, and click on it, I can see the details. So on the sales side, I can see what he's looking at. He's paid his invoice, everything looks good. He would like a new subscription. Do that here too, right? So I can select the product, and the same thing I just walked you through. Select the payment terms, choose the plan, and continue, and just set up the entire new subscription from CRM. All right, so that takes us through integration. So what we'll end on today is reporting. So on the reporting side, you saw that MRR, ARPU, and LTV are inside a single report, which can be accessed from the dashboard. To get MRR, if you want to know how it's been calculated, you can roll over the question mark. If you want to change the date filter, you can do so. Right, so now it is just done through November. So very simple to do, just click on customize report. So the other one was the churn rate, right? So we saw a spike in our churn rate here at 8.33%. So maybe let's drill down further just to this week, right? So that's where it happened, and that's where we peaked. So maybe we have to investigate on exactly what happened with that customer. So that's pre-built for you, right? You have churned after retries. We saw the retry system as well. This is just physical churn subscriptions. So this was the actual one that churned, was plan number 1 for Steven here. Your cancellation reports, sales reports, and then a few accounts, receivables reports, payment failures reports, refund reports, credit note reports. All of this is done for you. Now, if you want to do a lot more in terms of analytics, then this also ties to Zoho Analytics. So Zoho Analytics is our analytics platform that ties to all of Zoho. So once you activate Zoho Books or subscriptions into Analytics, you can start using your subscription data inside this application too. So we can build a churn report and things from our subscriptions here. So what this, of course, does, it allows you to have a lot more filtering. The filters in Zoho subscriptions only on date. Well, if you don't want to do it on date, you want to do it on other types of what's it called? Other types of criteria. Then you can add different filters to it. Right. So let me see if I can flip to a different database here. No, this one doesn't have anything. All right, let's go back to this one. Okay, so on the report side, we have got again the churn report, active subscription report, active subscriptions trend lines, and I can again start this report using the subscriptions table, right? But I can combine it with the other parts of Zoho subscriptions. So it not only allows you to cross-reference our Zoho subscriptions data, but notice it has all of the data from the Zoho Books as well. So now you can have an accounting report based on subscription data, which is really where we're trying to move towards. And then you can go ahead and combine that even further with CRM data. So in the CRM workspace, we can bring in our Zoho Finance data. And once we do the Zoho Finance data, we now can run a CRM report with subscription data and churn rate against my accounts receivables or accounting data. So that is the way to really move towards to get those proper reporting. But you can see here, this stuff is just out of the box for, as you're starting out. So that's where I'd like to end today. Want to also reference Zapier. Zapier is an integration platform as well. So just keep in mind if there are third-party apps, right, that you need to connect to a Zoho app, then we have this one available here too. So you can see there's 84 integrations available just with Zoho subscriptions. So in terms of e-commerce, email marketing, forms, phone systems, spreadsheets, all these different things that are available. So just keep that in mind that, we, while we, ideally want everyone on the Zoho platform, this application, because it's so dependent on data coming in from outside, like based on, maybe application usage or metering, things like that, or even your accounting system, then we can, we have all those integrations available through the Zapier platform. Okay. So as we end here, last few minutes, we'll open up for questions. Just want to mention Zoholics is coming up, which is our annual user conference. It is in Austin, Texas, where I'm located right now, on April 28th to 30th. So 3 days, 3 full days of experiencing a lot of different sessions with the Zoho team. We have multiple keynotes ranging from product keynotes to strategy keynotes. We have sessions for Zoho Finance, Zoho HR, Zoho Developer, Zoho Certifications, Zoho Sales, and Zoho Marketing. So all the different products. Exclusively this year, for the first time, our key accounts, which is everyone on this webinar today, we're going to do an enterprise track. This will give you some inside information about the company's innovation, research, product roadmaps, new products, as well as what we've done to align ourselves around the accounts and any feedback that you would like to give us to help us improve. One of the strategies was this webinar series itself, to have a smaller audience and also be able to, let you know about what these other apps are capable of doing. So what else could we do? So that's what this enterprise track will be all about. So the future of Zoho, strategy sessions, innovation research, and previews for a bunch of new stuff that's coming out for a smaller group. To add to that, we're going to do a dinner boat cruise, as Austin's famous for its Ladyburg Lake in the front of downtown. We'll be doing that. We're inviting our executives to this as well, so you'll actually have a chance, without the craziness of Zoholics, in a smaller group, to meet our chief strategy officer, our CEO, president, etc. And then we will allow you to request one-on-ones with product teams. So again, you don't have to go into the big crowd. If you need help on Zoho Desk, we'll bring in someone from that team exclusively to the session. We'll also have a breakfast, and then of course all the other sessions, right? So 3 days of networking, product training are also available. So remember, this is great for developers. We're going to go over developer tools. It's great for marketing people. We're going to tie in all our marketing journeys together across all of our tools. Great for salespeople, reporting, dashboard, metrics, forecasting, all that will be covered, setting up processes and workflows. It's great for a CRM admin if they want to get officially certified by Zoho. We started an official certification program a couple of years ago, only for our partners and consultants. Now it's available for customers. And if you use this ZWebinar25, get 25% off tickets. I'm going to send up that into the chat. And we are exactly at our stopping point. So I will open it up for questions. Feel free to ask questions as well, as we are still got a few minutes here, specifically related to subscriptions. If you would like, if it's just a general question on any topic, feel free to ask me. I'm going to send this form to everybody. What this form will allow you to do is request a demo. It doesn't matter if the demo is not for Zoho Subscriptions. Just tell us what you would like a demo for, and our team will be happy to arrange that for you. Okay, so that is there. So I'm just waiting on questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining today's webinar. Hope you learned a lot about Zoho Subscriptions and how it could be useful for your business. And open up for questions. Feel free to ask away.